This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good afternoon. This is Resource Center and Enterprise, and I'm Lim Soon Heng. Entrepreneurs are innovators. They think differently, often challenging conventional wisdom to bring something to the market. And so from that perspective, they have demonstrated leadership traits. But it has also been said that as an entrepreneur's organization grows, this person becomes less a lead, needs to be less an owner and more a leader. Dr. Raymond Madden, CEO of the Asian Institute of Finance, is here to talk about leadership skills that entrepreneurs need to run enterprises. Welcome.
Thanks for the invitation.
So how fair is this statement about, this observation that entrepreneurs' organizations, as it grows, the entrepreneur needs to be more of a leader than an owner?
Well, I think that's right. And I think not all entrepreneurs are leaders, but they soon recognize, either through people telling them or they recognize from peers, that they need to demonstrate leadership skills and behaviors.
So, are the concerns of leadership and the concerns of ownership different?
Oh yeah, when you start a company and you own it, you're very passionate, you want to achieve something, you've got a vision, you may have some values that you want to implement. You have you're creating a new baby. Mm-hmm. So the question is then, how do you take that forward? And you need other people. So however good your idea is, you need other people. Some of those are backers, some of those are partners. But actually then you soon start to hire, regular guys who want salaries, who want payroll on a monthly basis. So they want a de-risked nature of the work. Now, the nature of the entrepreneur, particularly for smaller companies, is, they're often backing their own house. They're often putting their own money in. So it's a real risk. Mm-hmm. So they're quite naturally very hands-on, often quite nervous about what they're doing, but they've got a passion to build something. And I think those are both the strengths and the challenges that they create in the organizations that they build.
I've been to some of these entrepreneurs' camps and where they kind of partner them up with different people. And you would think that for an entrepreneur to get his or her product onto the market, they have already, in a sense, learned the skills collaborating with, the venture capitalists, collaborating with people who might have to develop the product, maybe even manufacturers. They have learned those skills and should be able to take their products and their companies forward.
Well, yes, in an ideal world they do, and they look at the market, they look at the opportunity, they do the research, they look at where the gaps are. But actually, they're often just really passionate people, and they're passionate about building something or making something or selling something. So it's more sort of heart over the head, and so therefore that creates some of the sort of challenges that you face. Yes, ideally they get all the funding in place, but actually a lot of entrepreneurs, if you look at it, and you look like in a Malaysian economy, it's 97% small, medium enterprises.
Right,
there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. There are people sort of thinking up new ideas. Entrepreneurs don't stop with just one company. They think about other things. They move on. They're building more than one company because they've got new and different ideas.
So they have, in a way, kind of brought along with them a group of people based on their passion, as opposed to having kind of the leadership skills to kind of plan for the growth of a company.
Yeah, often. They obviously recognize they want to grow because they want to sell it, they want to get very rich, they want to get very famous, whatever the motivations, they're different. But I think the challenge becomes when you bring in ordinary guys, guys like me who want to work on a monthly salary, basically do a good job, work for a company that's interesting, maybe subscribe to the vision and the values of what they're doing. But I don't want to bet my mortgage. I don't want to bet my savings. But these guys do, and they're prepared to do that.
Is it because they are small in the beginning that it's somehow easier to manage and easier to kind of meet the expectations of the people working with them, that they don't have to kind of think in terms of, okay, how am I being a leader in my company?
Well, I think the world tells them to start small. But I think when you talk to someone like Tony Fernandez starting AirAsia, it's a bit hard to start small when you need aeroplanes which are really expensive. So I think people have their own reasons, often very emotional, about why they want to do it. The sort of family business, for example, they want to carry on what's been done before, but make it bigger or better.
So if you have the idea to own something, at the same time, do you want to be the leader in your own company? Are there conflicting tensions in that?
I think if you talk to entrepreneurs, and friends of mine who are entrepreneurs are really passionate about what they want to do. So they want to achieve something. And sometimes it's quite hard to achieve that, particularly if you're entering a new market, a new technology. So you're bound to get the tensions of, these guys are really wanting to drive it, but is the market ready? Is the funding available? Can they actually build up a market? And so you're bound to get tensions. And don't forget, a lot of entrepreneurs fail. And they fail for a variety of reasons. And it's for some of the pragmatic things like, understanding cash flow, understanding how businesses really, really work, how you make money. Because people work on, I'm selling this, my sales are up, I'm making more money from sales. But actually, if you're not covering your costs, and as you grow, your costs increase and often increase exponentially, and you haven't got the revenue to support it.
So when we talk about leadership skills, then what are we really looking at?
Well, I think you're looking at, firstly, a great idea. And, entrepreneurs often have that. But is it a real idea? Have they tested it in the marketplace? Are they sure there is a real market for that? And I think that's a key question. And when I talk to entrepreneurs, I say, you should spend at least a year thinking about some of those things.
Wow.
Those are you've got to really test the market.
Well, if you wait for a year, sometimes you might lose the first mover's advantage.
You might, but actually, what's better, to start something up and then it to fail? And entrepreneurs, don't forget, don't mind failing in some way. They get used to failure. In fact, some of the greatest entrepreneurs have failed, come back, dusted themselves off, and basically are ready to go again with another new, different idea. But I think what's important as they develop is that they've got a vision for the people in the organization, so that people can buy into that they have values that people subscribe to, because you want to attract people in to a new, sometimes risky business, but you want them to stay and you want them to perform and you want them to build your business with you. And you've really got to start to let go, however slowly it might be.
So, to get these people on board to go with you, you must also therefore get people who are risk takers like you.
Well, yes or no. I mean, if they're joining a small company, then there's an element of risk as opposed to joining a big multinational. But actually, what is important is that they have a skill set, that there's a matching of what you need and what they want to do. So some people like to go in new to an organization. It's exciting. Things are not
a lot of energy.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of young people. There's a lot of enthusiasm. You're building things. You have to start with an accounting system and an IT system, and someone's got to sort out the payroll, and you can't be going down to the bank. At the end of the day, you want to be able to get a paycheck at the end of the month. So there's some of the sort of hygiene factors that are important that I'm sure most entrepreneurs just don't even think about. You'll get paid, next week. Well, that's not good enough when you've got a mortgage to pay.
Right.
So there's some of the hygiene factors that are important for people. And I think entrepreneurs need to sit in the real world as well as the world of entrepreneurs.
But how do they do that when you are, in a way, kind of busy, like you say, trying to get this idea onto the market or getting this product completed, and to have the same time set aside time to kind of figure out, okay, these are the things that I need to run the company.
Yeah, well, that's the 1 year planning, and that's why I think it's, however good an idea, and I think some people say, is it best to start tomorrow rather than wait 6 months? My view is it's best to sort of think it through. What are all the things that might go wrong? What are the derailers? What happens if you can't hire somebody who you think is going to come in with you? You've got a greatest idea, and it's only going to work if I hire Soon Hing. He's the man who's going to do this for me in Malaysia. But actually, if you can't get him because he's busy doing something else, then in a sense, you've got a hole in your strategy. And I think thinking through the eventualities of what you need to do, because your enthusiasm and drive, and these guys work, 23 hours a day. They'll never stop. They're always on the phone because it's their energy. It's their personal energy. But not everybody can sustain that. And they can't always sustain that for a long period of time either.
I'm talking to Raymond Madden, the CEO of Asian Institute of Finance, and we're talking about the leadership skills entrepreneurs need to continue running their businesses. Coming up, we'll talk more specifically about other skills that they need to have, and this is Resource Center on Enterprise, BFM 89.9, the business station.
Bollinger Forecasts Markets, BFM 89.9.
You're tuned to Resource Center on Enterprise, and I'm Lim Soon Heng, speaking with Raymond Madden from the Asian Institute of Finance. The topic on the table: leadership skills for entrepreneurs. Now, Raymond, we've talked about, they need to kind of plan, set aside time to really plan for the future before they go out there with their product, with their services, with the company, right? And they have to kind of figure out how to find the right kinds of people to bring them to the company so that the company can grow. But in some ways, these skill sets are not what I normally associate with leadership, like, being able to kind of bring people with you, communicate well. What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think if you're passionate about something, you can often convince people. And I think the whole notion of engagement, which is important for building a business, but actually for working with employees, getting them on your side, giving them some of the trust so that they can help you develop your business. You acknowledge their achievements, you have fun, you have celebrations of success. All those things are really, really important. And you've also got to allow people to fail. And that's the big thing, I think, that everyone has to learn the hard way. Both entrepreneurs, but also people who work for entrepreneurs.
And when you talk about these kind of leadership skills, how much of these are also a kind of temperament that entrepreneurs have? That they are maybe because I've got to succeed, and so I drive my people, and maybe I drive them a bit too hard.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think not all entrepreneurs are good leaders, and that's why sometimes these things either end in tears, or they end up selling up because the hassle of it all is just too much, and they see a distance from their original idea, their concept, what they were trying to create, to the way it's turned out. Because running an organization is very different from being an entrepreneur, and I think those are very different skills. So you've got to carry on with motivating the market, but you've also got to motivate the people that work for you, giving them something to hang on to, because we all have a bad day, and so what keeps you going? Now, the entrepreneurs often, work on adrenaline.
I mean, you're talking about acquiring the skill sets so that you can continue to run your company. When does it make sense to say, okay, maybe I ought to step back, and let somebody else do the leading of the company?
Well, I think that once you get to a stage of size, often there are critical points where people have to make decisions. So that's about investment. That's about going to the market and getting venture capital, and often those decisions come as part and parcel of the growth transformation. But those can be hard decisions to think that your baby that you created, 1, 2, 3 years ago, you now have to essentially give control or give ownership and power to others.
Wow, that's tough.
That's
for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And more so maybe in Asia, where we have a lot of companies that are start up under the name of the family.
Yeah, sure.
So trying to surrender that control.
And family businesses are really interesting because obviously you've got the owner who's probably the father or the paternal person, and then the son or daughter takes over, and they've probably got some great new ideas of technology, and then they fight. and then you're not going to a board meeting and discussing it. You're going to the breakfast table or the dinner table and saying, "Hey, mom, dad, we want to do this," and they're saying, "What are you talking about? You want to invest what in technology?" And you get different generational approaches.
In your time as a lecturer, also as a person in the business world, I mean, what are some examples of people who have successfully taken their companies with them, first starting off as entrepreneurs and then doing really well with them, and maybe they can provide the kind of models for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think entrepreneurs are really interesting people, and they're very open to share. So actually looking and talking to other entrepreneurs is a real good way. And they'll tell you really, whatever you do, don't do this, don't do that. Don't go to this bank, go to that bank. And they get very black and white about things, and they're normally very open to share. So I think going to entrepreneurial sort of events and talking to entrepreneurs is really interesting. In fact, last week, Tum Mahathir actually spoke at an event for entrepreneurs, and he was talking about one particular thing, but actually said, really, what's important is just ask questions. Go away and think about it, ask questions and ask more questions, and actually serve some time in a conventional organization. And I thought that was very insightful, that because you'll learn from seeing how a proper, in inverted commas, organization works, and you might want to take some of those things and apply it to your own organization.
So have a proper job first before you become an entrepreneur.
Why not?
And learn from working within the company.
Absolutely. And I think that really helps. But I think what's important is that you translate your vision, whatever it is, into something that's real for everybody in their daily life, so they can work for you and they can go home feeling good about the type of work that they do.
And I guess this is again translating your vision, your passion into a way that people can buy into and stay with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, people want to be loyal. If people join an entrepreneur or a small entrepreneurial company, you'll find that they're loyal because they want to be part of the build-up. They want to be part of the excitement. Okay,
so as a recap, give me in terms of points, like with these other things, these are the ingredients, these are the skill sets that entrepreneurs need to learn so that they can lead their companies well.
Well, I think it's what we call the 3 E's at AIF. Engage. So you've got to engage with your people, make sure they understand what the business is about, how it's growing, how it's changing, how the teething pains that you might see, just moving office, from a smaller office to a bigger office can be a real pain. The IT's down and things don't work. And
we know all about that. Yeah. We are going through that right now.
I can see. And also the whole process of enriching. How do you enrich the individual vis-a-vis the vision of the organization? How do you give them more responsibility? How can they add more? Because I always genuinely believe people come to work to do a good job. So during those 7 or 8 or 10 hours, whatever it is, what can you get them to do more? The question I always ask people is, if I gave you an extra 15 minutes, what would you have done today? And how that might help the business and as well as you. And then there's a whole motion of empowerment. Let people who've got ideas come to the table, throw out the ideas. Yes, you might not be able to do it now, but you might be able to do it in 6 months. And that's a great way, particularly of younger people, of getting them really engaged in the sort of passion of what they do, because they're very tech savvy, they're very socially networked, they're hearing a lot of noise in the marketplace. And if they can synthesize that can help you and your business.
Engage, enrich, empower. I mean, you're talking about actually a lot of people's skills. Right?
Absolutely.
It's nothing to do with cash flow.
No. I mean, the cash flow and what I call the hygiene factors are important, but what I always say is leave that to the professionals. Don't try and manage that. Get yourself a good accountant, get yourself a good personal banker, get those things in train so you know that those things you can sort of let run themselves, and then work on the rest of the team.
Dr. Raymond Madden, CEO of the Asian Institute of Finance. Thank you very much.